Right, you lot's Wildlife Moto here, out on a bit of a test ride today actually. I thought I'd bring you guys along. I'm in the market for a new bike, and this is a Triumph Speedmaster. Now it's part of the Bonneville range, and for all intents and purposes it is a bobber, but it's got a little bit more of a practical side to it as well. So let's jump on, take it for a ride. I've only literally taken it around the corner from the dealership, so pretty much my first time on this bike. Let's see what it's all about. Very first thing you'll notice is the keys. Well, they're down here. Probably can't see that, there they are. The other thing you'll notice is that the controls, your feet, they're all the way out in front of you. This is Triumph's answer to Harley Davidson in some ways. This is about as cruisery as they get, and we're going to have issues with this mirror because it's spinning all over the place. And although it is a little bit unusual having to get just used to having your feet out in front of you, I actually think it's something I could get used to pretty blimming quickly. If I'm being honest, it's actually really comfortable. So the reason I'm trying this bike out is I'm not just doing that YouTube thing of taking bikes out for kind of first impressions rides and all that. There goes my mirror. I'm actually looking for a bike of this kind of style. I've been doing a bit of research and just trying to think of something where I've got a little bit of kind of classic style, but also something practical enough to, you know, take my girlfriend out, you know, go down to the beach, have a little weekend away or something. And the thing I love about this bike is that it can do all of those things. That used to be a bus lane, it's now a cycle lane. So as you can see, it's doing a great job of solving the pollution problems in London by making all the traffic stop while the cycle lane remains completely empty. So what Triumph have effectively done here is taken one of the least practical motorcycles in the world, and they might just have somehow turned it into one of the most practical motorbikes in the world, because this definitely feels like a bike that you can do some long miles on. It's very comfortable. You can get luggage on this one, and of course the key difference between this and the bobber itself is that you can take a passenger. It's got a subframe, it's got a passenger seat. It actually looks like quite a comfortable passenger seat. There's various options for it to change its profile and things like that, but yeah, there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't take this bike and actually, you know, go and tour on it and cruise a little bit, have a bit of a long weekend away, and you know, treat it like a vehicle rather than a toy, which, considering this bike actually manages to hold on to most of its bobber good looks, it's kind of the best of both worlds. And even sat here in London's horrendous traffic, it's not getting hot. I'm feeling relaxed, I'm feeling chilled out. Even this flappy mirror isn't annoying me. I think that's what I'm enjoying about this bike. It's just very easy, very, very relaxing. Now, a lot of people have complained about the suspension on these bikes being a little bit harsh, and yeah, look, it is a little bit lumpy and bumpy. Now this road is horrendous. Yep, suspension is a little bit rigid, but that's to be expected. It's got a monoshock on the back. Has it got a monoshock? Yeah, it's quite bouncy. The fueling is absolutely dreamy for a big 1200. Oh, that bottomed out. God. It's either that or there's not much air in this tyre. God, that felt like it properly hit the rim. Anyway, oops. Yeah, fueling, as I was saying, really nice. Considering it's a big punchy 1200, I'm actually going to go this way. It's nice and smooth. Parallel twin, so it doesn't have that V-twin kind of lumpiness to it. They're definitely inherently just smoother engines. But no, the fueling down in these lower RPMs and all that off the line, really nice. Lovely smooth clutch. The gearing seems quite tall as well. Well, first gear certainly does. You seem to just burble around in first gear in these sort of 20 zones. Doesn't ask for second. I swear that tyre's low on air over that. It's just the nature of these massive marshmallows that we're riding on. Big old balloon tyres on this bike. Look brilliant. Almost cartoonish. And the cornering, not bad either actually. You can get it around a corner without touching too much metal down on the street. Come on, mate. Come on. Go on, buddy. You're welcome. So we can just get through here. You're going to let me go? Yes, you are. Yep, you can kind of squeeze through the traffic, no problem at all. It's just starting to kick up a little bit of heat now. We've been sat in traffic for a good half an hour or so, but it's a hot day as well actually. It's so easy just to, you can literally just stand up on the bike between my legs. Brilliant. The other interesting thing to note on this bike is, despite it being a big old 1200, it's really quite quiet. It's got a bit of a growl to it, but yeah, the stock pipes do a brilliant job of attenuating all the noise. I don't know what your opinion on that is, whether you think it is brilliant or not, but I suppose if you're doing bigger miles on a bike like this, you don't want it too in your face and shouty all the flipping time. I would definitely describe this bike as being on the more refined and sensible side of the cruiser market. It's not loud and shouty, it's not obnoxious, it's kind of the grown-up rebel, the sensible biker's choice. But it doesn't have that kind of, you know, that slightly kind of aggressive, gnarly kind of look and feel to it. That's something a lot of cruiser riders like, you know, that Harley market, you know, big, aggressive, loud V-twins, loads of vibes and rattle. But you don't really get any of this on this bike. It feels incredibly civilized, very gentlemanly, just a very polite machine really. It's not going to cause any outrage. I mean, you can barely hear it. It sounds like a scooter almost. Got a little burble to it, but just very, yeah, very British, I suppose. Let's put up here and have a quick little look around the bike. Getting into neutral, very easy. Keys, I have to remember, are down here. Right, big old beast, isn't it? Look at that. So, as you can see, the only real difference between this bike and the bobber, as I said, is this rear section here. So subframe and the tail that's set up for a pillion to take their place on. Everything else on this bike, apart from the bars, is a bobber black. So that means it's got the twin discs rather than the standard original bobber, which only had the single disc. But look at it, it is absolutely beautiful. It's got everything you want in terms of the look, with a little bit of practicality thrown in as well. It's liquid cooled, so they've done a pretty good job of hiding that radiator, I think. It's not too big and chunky, it's quite low profile. No centre stand, that's a bit of a downer. You've only got a side stand, so you need to find some way of getting the back wheel up for your regular maintenance stuff. But yeah, and of course the engine cases are only in the brushed aluminium, I think, at the moment. There's no black version of this. You could get it powder coated if you wanted, but actually quite like that. It looks pretty good. Quality bit of kit, that. Anyway, let's jump back on, finish up this test ride. The only other key difference between this bike and the bobber is, of course, these handlebars as well. Now, they're not a massive deal if you don't like them. It would take you minutes to change them out, but I actually think they're really nice. These kind of, they call them the beach bars, the Californian beach bar, and they're kind of swept back. Now, looking at them, you're probably looking at this view thinking they probably look a little bit uncomfortable. It doesn't mean your wrist is bent slightly, and I suppose it is a bit, but it's not uncomfortable by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's incredibly comfortable. It's a bit of a weird one because you'd also think, well, does this change how you'd go around corners? Does it affect the bike's handling? And honestly, no, I don't think so. From what I've done so far, it's despite its slightly awkward look, pretty easy to get on with. I'm not going to try and squeeze through. Not today. Nice little fuel cap sits on there, and this one's got the new paint, the split black and white. I personally prefer the all black. For me, that's the one I would probably choose, despite my full appreciation for this beautiful coach line that you've got down here. Apparently it's hand painted and signed as well by the person who did it. Very cool, nice little touch. I like that. Appreciate little things like that. I'm getting hot ankles now. Your ankles are right next to the engine casing, so picking up a little bit of heat where it stops. Not uncomfortable though. I'm trying to work out where the power really kicks in on this bike, but there isn't a tack that I can see. How do I get that up? So yeah, so it does have a rev counter, but it's only a digital one, and obviously that's virtue of the fact that it's a single clock up here. I don't know how I feel about that actually. I mean, I actually quite like the single clock look. Almost Vincent-esque. But I think I'd probably prefer twin clocks, to be honest. So if I did get this bike, there's a couple of little things I'd probably change. I think things like the pegs and all that, they could be changed up to something a little bit nicer. I'd want to do something with all this cabling here, try and get an in-bar solution. Mirrors are okay, I mean, they do their job. Quite nice kind of chrome look to them. I guess they are chrome plated. Probably would stick a pipe on it as well, if I'm being completely honest. Apart from that, I don't know, I'm sure there's a whole plethora of goodies that I can get busy with. You know what I'm like, I'm a nightmare with this stuff. Would it need risers? I don't know if it would actually. What if my hands were here? Not sure about that. I guess you can change the pitch of these bars slightly. They feel pretty good where they are, to be completely honest. And then there's some other really nice things you can get for this bike. Actually, I'm kind of in love with this massive touring screen you can get for it. It's huge. It's proper, like, makes you look like a cop from Miami. Massive, great big touring screen. So I might be tempted to stick something like that on it. Anyway, for now, I've got to give it back. It's been a real pleasure taking you out on this little test ride. Sorry it hasn't been the most information-packed video. It's just, yeah, my first impressions. But do let me know what you think of this bike down in the comments below. And until the next one, ride safe.